You want to introduce today's episode? I mean, everyone can read the title anyway.
Yes, so we will be talking about Kabhi Khushi Kabhie Gham, which, if you haven't seen the movie, where have you been living? Um, and like in plot summary, briefly, it is about rich family son who marries not so rich girl, gets kicked out of family, and gets sent away, and the youngest son decides that that's not acceptable.
Everyone cries a lot.
Yeah. Even though for a movie that's called Kabhi Khushi Kabhie Gham, which if you don't speak Hindi, that's like sometimes sadness, sometimes happiness. Um,
It's mostly
in
sadness.
in it's literally 90% sadness.
Yeah.
They're all crying all the time.
Yeah. And if they're not crying, they look like they're on the verge of tears all the time.
Yeah. Just sadness abound, except during the song sequences. But anyway,
But the songs need to have energy.
sometimes even during the song sequences.
Like I said, the songs need to have energy, you know?
Hmm. But so what are we gonna be talking about with K3G today, Sarika?
We were going to do a bit, not a deep dive per se, not a little dive, a medium dive
A
into,
mini dive.
it's more than a mini dive, it is a dive, the Goldilocks dive into the class representation in the film.
Ooh. Um, and just before we started recording, we perhaps have stumbled across a piece of lore that may provide us further insight into the Raichonds, which is that they're potentially like Gujarati, Rajasthani, maybe Marwari.
Which, if you don't know, those are all like communities in India that are stereotyped for being very business oriented, very business heavy,
Mm-hmm.
which plays into the fact that they're a really rich business family, industrialist family. And I always thought that they were Punjabi for a
Mm-hmm.
few reasons. And I thought, so this was the basis of my understanding of how class works in this film was that like they're Punjabi, Anjali is Punjabi, but they're rich and she's not. But the thing is, when we also looked into the surname, it was like, sure, Marwari, Gujarati, Sindhi, Punjabi, even Madhya Pradesh was cited as like, this is where the surname originates from. So God only knows, right, what the
Right.
truth is.
And
But
I think,
basically, that kind of part of like Northwest India.
yeah. And I'm also like curious if like that's part of the power dynamic, they have a little bit of power in that ambiguity of like,
Hmm.
well, you can't really place us, but you just probably know they were like influential in whatever way that means. Um, so I think there's a bit of like using that to their advantage.
Yeah, I think that ambiguity is definitely like I only thought about it once we started talking about it, but like the ambiguity to me is a marker because like in my community, it's not obviously if you like live in the area and whatever, different story. And like obviously it's still looked at as like, oh, you should learn our native language because heritage and all that. But there are some people even within that who are still like, yeah, but you don't really need to learn it and you're better off speaking Hindi because the native language makes you sound like uneducated and
Mm.
rough and we don't like that. And it's better to just it's like social climbing through the language you use. It's kind of
Yeah,
how I see it.
which
So I'm
which
like,
is
what is that a thing
interesting.
that they lean into? Because like, especially when you contrast it to Anjali, who's very obviously Punjabi roots in every way, everything about her.
Yeah. Her like dancing, her language, her interests, like so many things. But it's which like the whole like Hindi only thing is so interesting that you say that because it's becoming more of a thing now, and to the point where like a lot of the smaller languages in like rural towns have kind of vanished
Mm,
because of like this push to have one singular language, unify as blah blah blah.
mm.
And like we can get into maybe in a different thing of like how that's kind of vaguely colonial. But not for this episode.
Yeah, I mean,
Um,
not to get into it, but even like with my language is definitely an issue because there is no written script. Like the written
exactly.
script was they stopped using it.
Yeah.
I don't
I
know
think
when
that,
or why they stopped using it, but like obviously, how is language going to survive if you don't have a script and you're just relying on a different script that was made for different sounds? But again,
yeah.
not getting into
And
it.
again, like I think that way the South was a little more strong in the sense that where they're like, nope, we have our languages and whatever. But again, like this is a whole different conversation. Um, I think so. Where do we want to start? Do we start with like the beginning of the movie, kind of,
Start with the
or
beginning.
okay? Did you know the first line, literally like the opening scene is um Jaya Bachchan, Amitabh Bachchan in
Yeah, it's
their
them
roles,
giving those like
obviously.
interviews.
Right.
Like,
And
what
they're
is a
talking
father? What
about
is a
like,
mother?
yes, like the love that a father has and the love that a mother has, and
Yeah,
like how you can never understand, blah, blah, blah. One of
because
the things he says,
the film, I don't know if anyone knows this or not, it's all about loving your parents.
that's literally the tagline.
That was the joke, mate.
Um, yeah. I'm just adding context for people who have
Okay.
not seen that. Um,
If they have not
but
seen it, then I'm like, welcome, but also why are you here in the nicest way?
right. Again, spoilers abound. If you haven't seen this movie, like again, one, why are you here? Nicest way possible.
Also, it's like a 20-year-old
And
old film, 25-year-old film. I don't care about
yes,
spoilers, but
2000 something. Yeah.
it's like when people are talking,
2001.
yeah, like when people were talking about spoilers for the Odyssey, and it was like, mate, it's literally 3,000 years old. What
Right.
spoilers?
Right. It's way we're way past that. But the one of the first things that Amitabh Bachchan says as
Hmm.
his role as Yashvardhan Raichan is why can't a dad tell his son how much he loves him?
Because he's emotionally repressed and needs to go to therapy. That's why. Like, what?
And like, I don't know if we want to get into the whole like patriarchy, masculinity conversation in this episode,
I
but
don't think we'll
that's
be
a
able to
huge part.
escape it. Yeah, go on.
Huge part. Because like there's other sections where this whole idea comes up and we'll maybe get into it when we get more there. But I think like this first line really sets the tone for Yashvardhan's character. I'm gonna
Mm.
call him Yash, but Yash's character.
Yoshi boy.
Yes. I can't say Yashvardhan every single time. Anyway, um, and her thing is to say, no one will understand Ma Ka Pyar, and only you'll only understand it once you actually experience it, which fine, whatever. I think where this like movie was kind of maybe ahead of its time, was like Rahul is adopted.
Mm.
And he was adopted when he was 2 days old, brought into the family as like very genuinely going to be like the next head of the family. They even tell him that he's adopted when he's 8 years old. Like
And then they
it
never speak
seems like
about
a
it again because it's too upsetting, and everyone's just like
right,
even Yashvardhan is like, no, this is my son, and we will never mention him being adopted again because it's just not a thing.
right. Which whatever.
But like in that respect, at least in his upbringing, very progressive and ahead of its time, like you were saying.
Very, very, very. Especially because like he is like such a central figure to the whole family. Like everyone clearly loves him so much, and like there's no question that he is a part of the family. We even see in like a later scene that Yash is like fully giving over his business empire to Rahul,
Mm.
who is Shah Rukh Khan.
Well, I guess that's the whole point, right? They have to make it so like he is so integrated into the family and he is so much a part of the family, like we
Make it
forget
more
he's
dramatic.
adopted. That yeah, when that line
The
hits,
shoe drops.
yeah, then
Um,
it has that impact, right? Because it was like, well, no one cared about him being adopted until now.
right.
Like
All
this
of a
was
sudden,
the hill you choose to die on.
um, yeah. And like, what was I gonna say? Um, And we hear this whole big speech of from Yash of like, I've always aspired to be like my father, who is the one who really started this empire. Um, even like imitating like the way he stands as like, a way to really, I guess, take
Like
on
imbibe that,
the,
embody it.
yeah, embody is a good word. Um, And of course, because they're, insanely rich, they have like this gigantic mansion. Like Rahul comes home in helicopters, and I find that scene now very funny, like in retrospect, where like she senses that he's coming, and I'm like, mate, he's coming in a helicopter. Like, you think she hadn't heard him?
Yeah, literally.
There's nothing to sense.
Yeah. Although to be fair to her, she does sense it when they hug later on, and then when she's in Blue Water Shopping Center, which for the uninitiated is one of I think it might be the biggest shopping center in the UK, or like it was definitely like up there at the time.
In
I don't know if
2000s.
the Westfield was created or like present in the UK at that time. Whatever. Blue Water is huge. Okay, it is amazing.
Yeah.
Also,
But
just to have a little ramble about the Blue Water thing, like why would they have Blue Water? Like why did anyone decide to go to Blue Water? Okay, I don't know where these people landed. They landed in what looked like a private jet. I don't know all the private airfields around London. I'm sure there's one near Blue Water, but why? They live in Hampstead. Why would you go to Blue Water? Blue Water is such a headache to get to because you have to go through the Dartford Tunnel underneath the Thames. You have to pay for the toll fee, which like Anjali was already complaining about returning clothes because she and like the receipt and she wanted her refund. So, and then there's a whole line about like Indians are stingy. So it's like she's not paying to cross the Dartford Tunnel. So what you drove through central London? Why would you do that to yourself? There were so many other shopping centers, so many other things you could have done. You could have met in like the middle of Oxford Street and it would have been way more believable. Why did you go to Blue Water? It just makes no sense. And let's say like the plane landed at Heathrow or whatever. Heathrow is on the other side of London to Blue Water. Now you've got to get on the M25 for no reason. It just boggles. But that look, I know I shouldn't be getting pressed about this because every time there's an Indian, a Hindi film set in London, the geography of it makes no sense. I get that. I
dude,
don't know
it's
why.
not just London.
I can only
I
speak about
watched
London.
Yeah, I watched like was it Doom 3, I think, that was shot entirely in Chicago. And we were like,
I bet you had
wait, wait. Yeah, we were
fun.
like, wait, hold on. How did you get from here to this other place? And like, why are you even here actually? Like, this makes no sense for what you said. It's bad. It's really bad. Like they go jump all over the place.
Even in I mean obviously let's not even get to like the filming locations that they used for the London scenes of Kabhi Khushi Kabhie Gham, right? Like I'm not even gonna bother. Like the specific locations, like the the university and all this kind of like the house, whatever. Um Even in Dilwale Dulhaniya Le Jayenge as well. At the beginning, he's feeding the pigeons in Trafalgar, not Central Park, Trafalgar Square, and then he's
Mm.
walking back home. It's like, brother, where do you live? That you can walk home comfortably from Trafalgar Square. You can go there every morning before going to your little petrol station, like in the suburbs. But you can walk to Trafalgar Square, and then he just walks like random paths in London. Like this is not a coherent route. I would guess, based on the film and all that, the cues that they give, they might be like Southall or something. But I'm like, okay, you're not walking to Southall from Trafalgar Square. And then also, where is your petrol station. Like, what is going on? I just have too many questions. Even in Kalahonaho, right? Like when Aman tells Nina that he's married and she runs away crying. She runs
Oh
all the
my
way from
God, yes.
Queens to like Brooklyn to stand
I, s-
on the waterfront to cry. Like,
I saw
what are you
someone
doing?
like detail how far that is, and I was like, right.
You know what we should do? We should one day, we should do. Have you seen those videos where people will try and walk the length of Manhattan?
Mm-hmm.
Because it is walkable, right? We should do a video where we just plot all these routes that people take in these films and just like try and walk from Queens to wherever it is she's crying in New York and then like do all the Chicago routes and see how it works because it doesn't. And I'm going to tell
It does
you that
not.
for free right now. Anyway, that was a separate tangent,
That's a
but
whole different tangent.
we're famous for our tangents though. So
Yes.
anyway,
Or we should be. But during the time when Yash is kind of giving over the keys to the empire, right? Like he's already started his whole like propaganda spiel of like, don't do anything that will ruin the name and
don't do anything
respect
I
of
wouldn't
our
do.
family. Yeah.
Uh,
Um, and yeah, I mean, we kind of see the whole like parampara, which if you again don't know Hindi, that's basically just what does that translate to?
like
Tradition?
tradition.
Yeah. Um, we're seeing a lot of it already. It's being blasted in our faces. And then the beautiful scene where Yash is like, "Oh, we'll pick the bride for, Rahul's wedding." Like he doesn't need to choose. Nothing's changed. And funnily enough, it's Nalini who is the wife, Jaya Bachchan, who's pushing back and like, well, like nowadays the boys are people are picking their own partners, and he's just like, nothing has changed. Keh diya na, bas, keh diya.
Which translation is like, I said it. I said
It's
it,
done.
right? Enough.
It's done. Um,
Like he's not entertaining any further discussion on this, basically. He shut her down immediately. And he says it multiple times throughout the film to shut people down.
yes. Yes.
Although my favorite is when she flips it back on him.
But
And he's
that's
like,
so much
oh,
later.
oh.
Yeah.
He's like,
Um,
he learns what it's like to get hit with that Uno reverse.
mm-hmm. Yeah. And I think like pretty soon after this, like the main caretaker, Daijan, is sick. So, is her name Nalini? Am I getting it wrong?
Nandini.
Nandini. Damn it. Why did I think Nalini? It's like Nalini sounds like a very South Indian name. Um, so does Nandini, to be fair. But anyway, so Nandini sends kids off, Rahul and Rohan, who's the youngest kid, um, they get sent off to Chandni Chowk, which if you're not familiar with Chandni Chowk is like it is a very, like market environment, like again, open market environment. Like think, um, what's the word I'm looking for? Like, those think like fair or, like, what's the word I'm looking for?
Like bizarre types.
Where like you can go like to
Like a
like
fair, like a
buy
fete.
clothes and yeah. Like they
Oh,
have clothes and they have like a eclectic mix of things, like you know what I'm talking about?
I know what you're talking about. The only word that's coming to mind is like a jumble sale. I know that jumble sale is not what you mean. The only other thing that is coming to mind is like Camden Market, and that's also not what you like, that's not a
No.
descriptor.
Unfortunately not.
Basically,
Damn it.
there's a lot of shops, there's a lot of stalls. It's very
There's a
busy.
lot of
It's
like
very
it's
narrow. In real
very
life,
colorful, very
in
everything.
the film, it does not look like that, obviously, because the whole thing is
No.
a set.
Yeah. But like it's
But this is
again
supposed
very
to be where they've
busy.
gone.
This is where people like, the lower income folks, like they sell things that they're making. So you find a lot of like crafts, local craftsmen, local like shops, like tiny, and I'm saying shops, but they're literally like just like set out on a mat or like, yeah, on the street. So you can just go pick up stuff.
And that's
And
just how
they're
people do
really
business.
cheap.
Apparently, you get the best parathas there.
You do. You do. You really do. Chandni Chowk is also like really good for like good quality clothing, even though it doesn't seem like it. But because like they're again people who are like the local vendors and who are making this stuff most likely on their own, they're selling it at a ridiculously cheap price, but they're the ones doing all the like craft work.
Hmm.
It's actually really good stuff for the most part.
And then they don't necessarily have overheads and stuff. I mean, in the film,
Right.
Anjali has she has a proper shop
Yeah,
established,
she has
like
like
a building.
full furniture and
Yeah.
whatever. Yeah, place where you can go sit. But anyway, like that's when we kind of see the flip side almost of like the whole, because so far we're seeing like cushy, very, very rich, extravagant, lavish lifestyle type vibe with the Raichans.
I have a thought, but I also don't want to interrupt you.
And then we see the flip first time with Taijan when they're going to Chandni Chowk of like, oh, busy. And then Rohan calls it tacky and down market. He's a kid, so maybe cut some slack there. But I think it also shows like how much they live in their own little rich bubble and they're not
Yeah.
exposed to this kind of stuff.
Yeah, it's more like he's a kid, so while the comments aren't nice, it's like, how much are you going to get mad at a child rather than the people around him who clearly say this kind of thing that he's parroting?
Mm-hmm.
The other thing I was going to say, the reason why I pulled that face, I was like, it's interesting actually, because recently, like in the last 6 years or whatever, people have gotten a lot more, well, at least in the West, right? Like the English side of the internet, people are a lot more like tax the rich and whatever. People are also a lot more like, oh my God, I love when rich people rich right, and I love that whole thing. Like Becca Bloom became huge and all this kind of thing, right? People love seeing that extravagance, and they will watch some like as few English movies have gotten popular because they showed that kind of extravagant lifestyle, and or like it was at the beginning, it was in this part and not that part, but the clips from that part where it was shown are now really popular on social media. But no one's done this with Kabhi Khushi Kabhie Gham, which is interesting because they very much do live in their own like rich bubble, but no one's clipping
Yes.
them to make all the like inspirational, aspirational, like TikToks with all the clips of like the helicopters and the fancy lengas and all the
The
parties and all this
giant
kind of stuff.
mansion house.
Like they could be doing all these things. No one's done that. Very interesting. Gap in the market there.
Yes, and I wonder like their house is, while it's huge, is so sparsely like furnished. It's
And that's the
like
style.
pretty, yeah, again, minimalist, I guess. Um, but whatever. After that whole Chandni Chowk scene is when we kind of come back to, Shawa Shawa because it's his birthday. And I think like we see again the like really nice stark contrast because they're having like the really fancy dance party, like everyone's kind of doing, there's a mix of, yes, Indian-ish dancing, but also more westernized, I would say. Because they're fully doing like ballroom dancing at one point. And as a flip, you see like Anjali and gang doing proper like bhangra
In the
in the
street.
in the street with like the local drummers and singers and whatever. Um, and yeah, just all of them kind of having fun. Shava Shava is when we really see the differences in class, at least
Hmm.
for both the main love story candidates, right? Of
Hmm.
like Rahul's life, which is so beautiful and grand and blah blah blah, and like
Yeah.
Anjali's life, which is fun, but like different. Really sets the stage for, I think, why we see some of the pushback later on. But
I think that's actually, but then Shava Shava itself bleeds into the whole like Aati Kya Khandala scene, and she is there because she's gone to, Daijan got her she commissioned her to bring sweets to this party,
yeah.
right, at the Raichand house. Which, first of all, I'm like, why is it just you and Ruxar carrying some like mithai in your hands? It's a big party. There's a lot of people. You guys, like, they didn't want more mithai. I have
Hmm.
questions. Like, you couldn't have gotten a lorry or something, or even filled a car with your mithai. But
Right.
anyway, it's like she's just
But
spawned.
then there's questions of, do they even have a car? Are they even that rich? Blah blah blah. But anyway.
Even if they don't have a car, like you hire something or you get help from someone in the community, right, for a business venture, because that's what her community is like. But anyway, that's besides the point. The point is like she's basically just spawned in the Rajend house. And it's like she's dolled up for this party that she was just at for her father. Now she's at the party for his father.
Hmm.
So it's not like, oh, she was in her regular day clothes and she turned up at this party. It's like, no, she is in her finery. They are in their finery, and you can see the difference between them
Because
very clearly.
they're wearing suits and, again,
I mean,
pretty
she's also wearing
westernized outfits.
suits.
Yeah, but she's wearing a very traditional, like, salwar kameez.
But it's also called
Very
a suit,
Punjabi.
which is what I
Yeah,
wasn't.
it is.
But
Yeah.
thank you. Finally got there. Yeah, like they're both.
So,
Like she's wearing a very Punjabi outfit, and that in itself feels like a thing of like, oh, this is how much she doesn't fit in. Social etiquette aside, like when she interrupts them and she makes her presence known and she interrupts the moment. That aside, just visually, she sticks out like a sore thumb. Even when you place her next to the other guests who are also wearing Indian outfits, like they're wearing lengas and saris and stuff.
yeah. And like the Shava Shava scene is also so funny for another reason, which is like this man Yash, who's been harping on about parampara and tradition and like
Are you talking about the
Hamara
backup dancers?
sanskar and Sanskriti. Yeah. He's dancing with like people dressed in like camisole top, really short skirt ending. Fine, wear what you want. But like, if he is harping on about sanskar and like Sanskriti and parampara and all of these stuff, who are you dancing with, buddy? And they
Yeah.
even make jokes about like how he basically likes the girls to just look at and stuff. Like him and his Rahul and his mom are making jokes about all of that stuff. And I'm like, okay, so this is an open thing.
I
Like everyone
mean,
knows,
it
which is
reminds me
so.
it reminds me of Made in Heaven, which I don't know if you've seen it.
I think so. No, actually, no.
Okay, see it because like it's not the best TV show on earth, but like some of the points it raises are interesting. But there's in the first episode, basically Made in Heaven is about these wedding planners who are working with rich people, and then there's obviously like all the clients are rich, so it's a wide variety of rich people and blah blah blah. But in the first episode they're industrialists, and the parents are taking issue with the bride, like their son's fiance, and the dad's like, it's okay to have fun with whoever you want, but the girl you marry needs to be pure. And the son's like, pure, like ghee. And it's just like, it feels very much
Clarified
like
butter.
that. Yeah. But it feels very much like that kind of vibe here, where it's like, you can have fun with whoever you want. You can look at whoever you want. Actually, this whole scene, yeah, where they're making jokes about Yashvardhan doing this, and then Nandan even comes up to him at the end. She's just like, all right, that's enough now. And she just walks away without saying anything else. Actually, I know Silsila was supposed to be the whole like Amitabh Bachchan, Rekha, Jaya Bachchan love triangle thing, but is this not a bit like too on the nose here? And I was posing with my finger on my nose, not posing, but like doing this unintentionally. But I'm just like, actually, this feels a bit close to home, shall we say?
Yeah. Um, Yeah. I was thinking about that too, but do we want to get more into that now or
We might as well.
so again, all of these are a lot of this is like of course conjecture and like none of it's really proven per
Alleged,
se.
blah, blah, blah. Don't come
It's
for
all
us.
alleged.
Don't
Yeah.
hit us with the legal things, like whatever.
It is all alleged and like there's again zero proof of any of this or like if you believe some of the proof you see online, that's a different story, but um the whole so apparently the Silsila story gets deeper because so even before Silsila there was Amitabh Bachchan's career was actually failing. And he was not doing so great. He was already kind of tied to Rekha. There was like a romantic angle alleged in with those two because they'd already done a previous movie. And there were stories that Jaya Bachchan didn't want to do a movie if Rekha was also going to be in it. And like, if especially if Amitabh was going to be working with Rekha, she didn't want that. Um, Again, all of this is alleged. I don't know. I don't know if I believe it, but anyway. And then even Yash Chopra was not doing so great, and that's kind of this whole love triangle got him the idea of Silsila, which if you have not seen that movie, which is fair, it's not a great movie, but um the whole point is that Rekha in that movie is the other woman. Like she is the girlfriend to Amitabh uh, Bachchan's character. And Amitabh and Jaya are married in that movie. And like in the end of the movie, the point is that the wife kind of wins and gets her husband back because he is saying like I'm never gonna leave you again and stuff like that towards the end of the movie and whatever, like I'll always be by your side. Which is, I guess, also supposed to be reflective of real life because after that there were no ties again. There was zero like connection to be seen with Rekha. Um, but the allegations got so out of hand that um even Jaya's dad, who is a big journalist, wrote a article about like this is all kind of stupid and actually Amitabh's a great guy and he's very sweet, very like humble, down to earth, like a big, very, very, flattering article.
Damage
Um,
control for
Damage
his
control,
son-in-law.
right.
Yeah.
Exactly. So yeah, that's kind of like the side story, I guess. And there's more I can say about Jaya Bachchan herself because she's a fascinating lady.
Please,
But
please get into it. Because I really want to hear this. I've been
um
waiting.
so Jaya herself, like pretty recently, she went viral because she did like an interview with Barka Dutt, right, who is also a pretty popular journalist in India, and she got she went viral because she said things like marriage is an outdated institution, and that she didn't want her granddaughter to get married, and she compared, I think, weddings to or marriage to like this laddu, like a sweet, basically saying like sometimes it's bad and like sometimes there's good that comes out of it kind of thing. Um, and she's like, yeah, I've been married to the same man for like 52 years. Like, he'll have a different take on what he thinks about our marriage and marriage in general and like all of this kind of stuff that makes you really question how she feels about her marriage.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but what I find more interesting is that like the media houses in general have always hated Jaya Bachchan. Any news article, especially back in the day when I was much younger, would always try to pit Jaya Bachchan and Rekha together, like against each other. Even like, there were a lot of things of like, oh, she's very rude and like nasty and blah, blah, blah. She's like grumpy all the time and
I've
all
seen
this
that.
stuff.
Like, I
And I'm
haven't seen
like,
very much of it, but I've seen the like, oh, she gets mad at paparazzi, and whenever I've seen that, I've just been like, yeah, fair. Like,
Right.
I would get
It's the
mad at
same
paparazzi.
thing. It's the same thing that kind of happened with Chapel Roan, right? Like she also like gets really upset with paparazzi kind of in her face because she's like, when I'm in public, I'm not Chapel Roan. I'm just myself. Um, and like I don't like people invading in my private space, which is so fair. Like, of course you don't want that. Like you don't want people like hounding you all the time. And so she, Jaya's seen in clips like yelling at the paparazzi, and people find that very mean and like she should, know her place type thing. Um, but even more fascinating is that she is a member of parliament. Um, she works for actually the what's it called? The Samajwadi Party, which is basically socialist. It's the socialist party.
Okay.
Um, and she is a member of parliament. She's very, very vocal about like women's rights, mental health, um, like, and she recently again went viral for talking in um, one of the government proceedings because she was like arguing for trans rights. And I'm like, icon, queen, love you.
Yes. But I have been wondering, like, and not to compare them, but no one talks about Rekha like that, right? Because like people will talk about Rekha and they're just like, Rekha's so hot. Oh my god, she does the good photo shoots and stuff. No one's talking about what Jaya Bachchan's like because I had no idea about this until you told me. But and even most of what you just said, like I didn't know about. But also, I was thinking about it, and I was like, Rekha's the one who's been going viral, like on TikTok and stuff recently in the last couple of years for her makeup looks. And like, oh my god, she looks so good. And people will use like the silsila pictures as references when they're trying to recreate her look and stuff. And I'm like, Jaya Bachchan is right there, but no one is seeing her as icon and stuff.
I think also like the thing that really pisses me off is the double standard with how
Mm-hmm.
media has treated Rekha versus Jaya. Um, because like the usual public sort of opinion has always been that like Jaya Bachchan's come in the middle of Amitabh and Rekha's relationship. And like she is the problem and she needs to be like
Hmm.
removed essentially. And everyone's always had like a lot of pity and empathy towards Rekha because they're like, oh, poor thing, like because she had her like unrequited love essentially. Um, and
It's
I'm
like
like,
she was
the
literally
dude
married to
was
him.
married.
Yeah. Like, your pity
What
should
are
be for the
you
wife.
talking? Yeah. What are you talking about? Like, do you not see that she's the one who is really the victim here?
So what I was saying earlier about Rekha and Jaya Bachchan, and I think that like this also plays into what you're saying, like the media will, like for example, even the Indian diaspora on TikTok will big up Rekha, right, and big up her makeup looks and stuff, and even in that small way, like the media is still working against Jaya Bachchan.
Hmm.
And I didn't want to talk about that. Well, like I was hesitant to specifically put that on record because I was like, I feel like I'm part of the problem, still pitting them against each other because it's still a
And yeah, we
comparison.
don't
It's
know
like,
their relationship, like we don't know how they feel about each other really.
but like my
But I
idea
think like
of like Rekha was like, oh, she's got good makeup, cool. Let me try this look, like the Rekha look, and like, oh, her outfits and Silsila were good. But my idea of Jia Bachchan was like just angry woman, which is actually funny because when I was a kid, I used to dislike Amitabh Bachchan. I was thinking about this like the other day.
ooh,
I used to dislike Amitabh Bachchan because he always played the angry old man, like the angry dad in the films that I
angry
watched.
young man was his tagline.
Yeah, but I didn't know that at the time. Like
Mm.
when I was like 6, 7, 8, whatever it was, I didn't know that his tagline was the angry young man. I was just like, oh, he's always the angry dad. He's always the angry old man in the films, and he's always like mean. He's always the villain, so I don't like him. But it's like now Jaya Bachchan has become that in the media in real life, like the angry old woman, like we don't like. Then now you're saying
Yeah,
all this, and
yeah,
I didn't know all this. I'm like, we need to
yeah.
revisit, like, put some respect on her name. Justice for Jaya, you know?
Yeah, and she actually was really doing amazingly in film way before she got married to this man. Like she
Yeah, I
was
heard like
known and
her
very
marriage was
popular.
what kind of like dropped off of her career.
Yes, because after they got married, like pretty soon after is when she kind of took a sabbatical from work, came back after like a decade-ish, again took a sabbatical, again came back for like Rocky or Rani Ki Prem Kahani type, whatever the movie's called.
And in that, she's
Um,
like angry old woman, I think. Like I haven't
exactly,
seen the
like
film, but
grumpy.
yeah.
Actually, no, she's a pretty nice mom in that, if I
Is she? Okay,
remember.
fair enough. She looks grumpy in all the like trailers and clips I've seen, but I haven't seen the full
Yeah.
film.
I don't remember. I watched the movie like 2 years or something ago, and like
Who
it
cares?
was an okay movie.
Yeah,
Um, like, unimportant. But I think like what I find even more interesting is that like again, she was known before her marriage as Jaya Badri, right? Like that's her maiden name. And she, like would still get billed as Jaya Badri for a while even after marriage. Which apparently pissed a lot of people off because they were like, "Oh, she's married now. Like, you should use her,
hmm.
married name." Blah. I'm like, she's more famous as Badri. Like, why would you change that? Anyway,
I'm going to refer to as
um,
Jaya Badri for the rest of this episode.
yes, because like, actually, like, I remember one of my earlier memories hearing about her was my parents talking about her as Jaya Badri.
That sounds
And I
on
was
brand
like,
for your
ah.
parents.
Yeah, and I'm like, I don't know who this lady is, right? Like I'm really young at that point. But now the dots are connecting.
Yeah.
But I think what I find even more interesting is like real Jaya's character kind of seeping into Nandini's character in the movie, where she is
Yeah.
like that more progressive, um, like wants to have a voice, but is struggling to have a voice.
Hmm.
Kind of character in the movie.
It's also interesting seeing like how the real life Jaya Badri, her comments on like, I think marriage is overrated and like, I've been in the same marriage for 52 years. I can't love someone more than that. Like, I've done my penance kind of thing, like that
Mm-hmm,
attitude. And
mm-hmm.
it's like, obviously, she was making those comments again, like 25 years after the film came out. But it's like, yeah, that is also, I wouldn't put that out of character for the character in the film. Because it's like, she
Nandini.
just really gets treated like a second class citizen in her home. It's
Yeah,
like
because
she
like
doesn't have any beef with like Rahul's new bride. She doesn't have any beef with Anjali. She doesn't have any beef with like all this stuff that's going on. But because Yashvardhan has decided to do it, she's just like, okay, well, like I can't do anything. All I can do is cry here. But like he's not gonna listen to me. He doesn't give a fuck. Like could not give less of
yeah,
a shit. But then he's like, hey,
she
you didn't tie my tie this morning.
right. Like and he says this much later in the movie, but he's like, she asks him like, "Oh, what do you want for your birthday?" Like present day, which is 10 years after the beginning-ish of the film. At which point like Rahul and Anjali are already married, blah blah blah. Like
They've disappeared off the
um
face of the right and the earth. Like
yes, they're like in London living their life, Jaya, no, not Jaya, what Nandini asks, like, Yash, what do you want for your birthday? And he's just like, can you please return my original Nandini back to me? Like, mujhe, wo Nandini वापस लौटा दो. And I'm like, bro, how? You've literally taken away every single thing this woman values and cares about. And now you're just like, I just want you to be like yourself. Okay, but like you have given her none of the tools to actually be herself. You don't let her say anything. You don't let her have an opinion. You don't like let her have her kids at least for crying out loud.
you know what it's giving? It's like those guys on social media who are complaining that like they cheat or they divorce their wives or something, right? And it's like, oh, my wife became boring after we had kids, and like she doesn't look after herself, she doesn't maintain herself, and it's like, yeah, because you do fuck all.
Right.
Like, where is she going to have the bandwidth to do all this kind of stuff that she like? Oh, she used to be so much hotter when we started going out. It's like because you're a worthless spouse and partner. Like, what do you want me to say? My thing with Nandini, and like again, I'm jumping ahead to the ending here, because
That's fine.
like Rahul and Anjali get married, and Anjali is very much like, no, we need Balji's blessings. Where like I need the blessings of my father-in-law, like whatever. She gets her mother-in-law's blessings. She doesn't get her father-in-law's blessings. And then at the end, when everyone reconciles, and he just accepts her like that, and even before that, it's shown in small ways that like Nandini did want to know her and have a relationship with her, and she's never the problem, right?
Right.
I'm just like, this whole film is just one big, like, as a married woman now, this whole film just feels like a propaganda piece for, it's like in-laws propaganda, like sas sasur propaganda. Because like this is what I mean. The whole film is like, oh, it's all about loving your parents, and you have this great relationship with your parents, and just thinking about your parents means you can achieve anything you want. And it's like, yes,
Yeah.
the whole film was propaganda for like happy families, right?
Right.
But even aside from like the like original family, like the blood family, even though Rahul's not blood, but like whatever, like you know what I mean, that
The
original
OG.
unit.
Mm-hmm.
Even the people who come into it, like it's propaganda for all those people as well, that they too can have a happy family. And it's especially painful because Anjali's dad dies like halfway through the film, and she's very like she clearly cares about him a lot, and his loss hits her hard, and she was quite young, and all this kind of stuff. Like it is a traumatic event for her, and then she's denied like her father-in-law's love, and then she gets in. And it's just like the whole film like feels like propaganda. Like you eat enough shit from your in-laws, and they will one day love you like their own. They would cherish you, and all they want, and especially like Nandini as a mother-in-law, it's like all she wants is to be there for her daughter-in-law. I'm like, I'm calling. This is not the reality of a lot of people. This is propaganda. I want to know who did this. What is this?
I mean, like, if we backtrack a little bit, right? Because this whole thing even gets worse once you think about like he tells his mom earlier that like he's in love with Anjali and she's perfectly chill about it. She's even like joking with him and they're having a
She has
chat
nothing
about
to
it.
say about like whatever
She
he
has
says
zero.
when he's like, oh, she's kind of low class. He doesn't say it like that because he's not a horrible person. Like I really do love Rahul and Anjali's pairing, but he doesn't say
He
it, but he
says
does
like, oh,
like,
she's a little quirky and like
yeah, and
messy and stuff like that.
she's a little like diamond in the rough kind of thing. And his mom's just like, yeah,
Yeah,
cool,
yeah.
chill. You're in love. I'm happy. You're happy. I'm
Yeah.
happy. That's it. She doesn't say anything about that. Huh, what
Yeah,
was the point you were gonna
yeah.
make?
She has zero comments about it, right? And then on the flip, like his dad's like arranged already this marriage with, I want to say her name is Nana. Um, and side note, I don't understand why Nana sang like a very sexy rendition of Happy Birthday to Yash, whatever. Their relationship is so weird.
I think enough people have covered that. But yeah, that was what he was okay. Look, I know he was okay with it from like a class perspective because he was business partners with her dad and whatever. But
Yeah.
it's also like this was the relationship you wanted with your daughter-in-law, not with this woman who is just very pure and just wants like father's love in her life again.
Yeah.
And it also like especially feels like propaganda because she is so just like, I want my mother-in-law's blessings, I want my father-in-law's blessings, like I want to live like happy joint family, like I just want to live together. It's like she has not done anything except be born into the wrong family, and you guys are getting not you guys. He is getting so mad about this. Like she's not argumentative. She is very much like, these are the role I play. The customs I follow. Like whatever she's traditional, she follows. She does all the right things.
She does all the pujas. She wants to do like Karwa Chauth.
It's literally just him.
Yeah,
there is
it's
no
just
other way
him.
to spin it.
It's just him. He is the problem. Because again, when Rahul finally comes around to telling his dad that, like, hey, I actually love this other girl, and like she is not from the same economic background, she's whatever, and he immediately his famous speech of like, क्या वो हमारा संस्कार हमारा संस्कृति समझ पाएगी? Can she uphold the standards of our family name?
Yeah.
And literally, again, I was watching this with my husband. He hated me for making me watch this again because again, like cringe lord movie, right?
Look, to be
Like
fair, look, my opinion is I think the actual premise of like the flashback scenes of the movie are good. I do, like I said, I like Rahul and Anjali's couple in the flashbacks and also in the like present day sequences when you see them like 10 years into their marriage. I think they're really cute. I really like them.
yeah, yeah,
And I
yeah.
think they carry the movie. My problem and where I start feeling like it gets really cringy and uncomfortable is when you introduce Pooja. And then like her
Yes.
thing with like Rohan is just like it's really unnecessary. But like Pooja, her character itself, I know she's not
Borderline
reincarnated.
incest, but okay.
I'm not even gonna get into that, but like just her character and itself. And I know everyone's like, oh my God, she's so iconic. I'm just like,
She's annoying.
she's annoying as hell. But anyway, sorry, yes. Your husband was mad at you for
Um,
making him watch a Punjabi movie.
yeah, but then when Yash was giving this whole speech, my husband was like, ah, yeah, like Anjali also should go dance around with like 100 naked girls. Stupid parampara, his exact words. And I'm like, yeah, it's the same double standard of like, I, as rich person, am allowed to do whatever I want. Like I'm settled, like my life is fine. I have a wife, I have two kids, like I have this giant flourishing empire. So therefore, I am allowed to do whatever I want. You, however, low class citizen, are not allowed to do anything except what I say is correct.
Hmm. Actually, that reminds me of a point I wanted to bring up earlier. You know, when you're talking about the business empire and how they're like standing in front of his dad's portrait and like having this conversation, like you will inherit the thing. It reminded me of that saying that when it comes to building wealth, the first generation makes it, the second generation maintains it, and the third one loses it. And I was like, okay, so first of all, we are on the same page. Like, the family is new money. Not that like you can argue whatever you want about like, oh, new money doesn't matter, old money like is all bullshit, blah blah blah. Fair enough, but ultimately they're acting like they're all hoity-toity when it was like two generations back. They were probably in the same boat as Anjali's family. First of all,
Exactly.
second of all, I'm like, does that play into his anxieties when it comes to Rahul? Because he's like, my father built this, I've maintained it. You're gonna destroy it in one generation by marrying the wrong woman.
Yeah. Because like once Rahul actually gets married to Anjali, brings her home, his immediate thing is to say like, you have now proved that you are not my blood.
Hmm.
And Rahul says this really heartbreaking dialogue of like,
But मैं
he,
पराया कर दी.
yes,
Yeah,
of like in a second he accepted me, and in the very next second he like got rid of me.
yeah.
I'm paraphrasing and like translating,
But
obviously.
like
It
he
hits
turned me into a
hard.
stranger in a second just by
Yeah,
saying that.
yeah. And it's like one, really sad
Hmm.
and heartbreaking. And two, also like, so you're gonna disown your son that you have been kind of riding hard for the last 21 years, right? Because I think Rahul's 21
More,
when
I
all of this
think,
happened.
because he's they specifically mentioned he's just come back from doing his MBA in London. So he
So
would be
he'll be
like
like 21,
22,
22.
23. Yeah.
Mm.
Although
Um,
the timelines are
like
really weird
early
in this
20s.
film. Don't get me started. The timelines are so
Yeah,
off. But anyway,
early 20s,
yeah.
basically. So he's still like kind of pretty young, right? Like, and yeah, instead of being like, okay, let's talk about it immediately, he's like,
Yeah.
actually get out of my house.
To be fair, he's not that dissimilar from a lot of parents, right?
100%.
Which is also what I'm saying. Like the whole propaganda of it all is like, yeah, most people are not like that. Like, talk to almost any married person.
Exactly.
Like, most people are not like that. Him being like, you had a shotgun wedding, like you did something dishonorable, you or like the assumption that because you had a shotgun wedding, you did something dishonorable, you married a person I don't like, get out of my house, is actually like way more realistic, and like that makes him the villain in the film. But that's what I'm
But
saying.
it's
Like
actually very realistic.
yeah, all the happy families shit is a propaganda.
Yeah.
It's like no one behaves
And
like
like
this.
your point gets proven later on with the whole propaganda piece, right? Because like once Rahul and Anjali like are kind of debating coming back to the family, that's when like, Nandini takes her stand and she lays out like all the correct and wrong things that Yash has done in his life of like,
Great scene.
okay, yes, great scene, fantastic, 10 on 10. This is exactly why Jaya Badri is a better actor than Amitabh Bachchan,
Mm-hmm.
whatever. Um, she says like, yes, you did the right thing by like adopting Rahul, by bringing him to our house, and like by really making him a part of our family, by like giving our whatever. And then immediately flips to like, and then you sent him away and like didn't allow him to do whatever he wanted, like didn't give him a space in our home, like
You separated a
made
mother from her
me
children. Like you
made
put
me live away
collateral
with
damage.
exactly made me live away from my kids who I and my son who I love so much, and all of these things were wrong. And that's when I realized that my husband is just a husband. He's just a human. He's not God.
Hmm.
Because, like, again, the whole like Pati Parmeshwar is like a big thing, which is like basically,
Your husband
the
is God, and
husband
like
is
his word
God.
is law, kind of thing.
Yeah, you must worship him, blah, blah, blah. And this scene was so amazing because, like, yes, she highlights that, like, he is he has made mistakes and he is therefore human and he's
Yeah.
not God and therefore his word cannot be law. And when he tries to be like Nandini and she's like, nope, keh diya na, bas, keh diya.
But then at the end of it, when he's apologizing to everyone, he apologizes to her too, and she accepts it and she forgives him. And I'm like, well, to
Which
her,
is what is the propaganda piece because he literally says, Mujhe maaf kar do, like, please forgive me multiple times, like, literally begging for forgiveness, like, folding hands and everything. And I'm like, show me one father who would actually do that.
well, he doesn't do it to her. He does it to his sons, but he doesn't do it to her. First of all, he doesn't do it to
Correct.
any of the
Which is
other
also
women.
whatever.
He doesn't do it to any of the other women, so that part's still realistic. But I was gonna say, like, to err is human, to forgive is divine, which means actually she is the goddess in the situation, right? But then that also
Correct?
like there's a lot of you could tie in a lot of like religious imagery there with the fact that her name is Nandini and she is this like omni not omnipresent, but like she knows everything like mother, like she has this sixth sense about her sons and all this kind of thing. Like but the Parameshwar here, like your husband is God, but actually the whole movie has been telling us that she is the divine in the house.
Yeah, because she's the one who's been right the whole time. Like, she's the one who's been trying to protect and preserve like their family really. She's the one who's been like pushing for, listen, we have to actually value his opinion. Like, did you ask him before
She's the one
you
who's like
pushed
love
this
is love,
arranged marriage? Like,
love
guys, like
wins.
if he likes someone, like whatever, like let him go marry that person. Okay, she's chill, right? And he's the one who's like, no,
I
we
guess
shall
that's the
do
point.
parampara.
I guess that's the point. It's like everyone around him has to be a really good, like you have no complaints with this person. Like they should have, in theory, they should have no complaints with Anjali as a daughter-in-law. They should have no complaints with Nandini as a wife and mother. They should have no complaints with Rahul as a son. And it's like it just serves to highlight how unreasonable he is and how irrational his thing is. But I also wanted to say that like her scene with him when she's like, yeah, this was correct, this was not correct, and she really just puts him in his place, is also made more poignant because it comes after that scene at Blue Water where she's reunited with Rahul for the first time in 10 years. And I really love that scene. It's really heartbreaking and just like, it's just a really touching scene. And all they can do is hug each other. And then he points at Anjali and their
His
kid, and
kid
she's
and
just so happy. And then even in the end credits scenes, like she's playing with her but not new because he's like 10 years old, but like her new grandson. And Rahul's just so happy that my kid has like his family. Again, that was another like Rahul looking at them fondly and Anjali being like, yeah, I understand. Like this is like being there as well. Like there, that little scene of them two, propaganda piece, but like the actual scene of like Jaya Bachchan, sorry, Jaya Badri, sorry, or rather Nandini, seeing like this is his family and this is what he's, this one look, quick look. This is what he's done with his life in 10 years. Just like it's really sweet. Or she's just happy for him.
Yeah,
She just loves him so much.
yeah, yeah. And I
But yeah,
think
it's just
really,
like Yashvardhan is the problem. He is the one who's being unreasonable. Like no one else,
She
everyone
re-
else is on their best behavior, and he's still got an issue.
she really highlights the like, I guess maybe propaganda of like a mother's love is unconditional type thing that they were getting at in the
Yeah,
beginning.
100%.
Um, yeah. Um, and like, I mean, even the whole ending bit, like he's of course crying and sad, and he's like, why didn't you come back to me? Like, I'm old. Like, what does he say? बड़ों का गुस्सा प्यार होता है.
Basically, like your elders' anger is your love. The elders showing you love.
Bull
Excuse me.
shit. Bullshit. I mean, boomers still believe very much, right? That like that the anger that parents show is actually their own form of love, right? Like we just want better for you type thing. And he even goes on to say like I loved you so much and I missed you so much this whole time. Bas keh nahi saka. Like I couldn't say it. And I'm again like, brother, why?
Also, like, what was he supposed to do? Read your mind. You told him to get out, so he left, and you were
You
pissed.
told him to leave.
And then he was like,
You
I
told him
brought
he
you into
wasn't
this
your
house.
son anymore.
He was like, I brought you into this house with my two hands. Why would I want you to leave? I'm like, I can think of a few reasons why he might think you wanted him to leave, mate.
You literally lectured him about like how he's not your blood anymore and whatever. Hey, say,
Although,
why are
when I
men?
watch this, why I meant when I watch this film as an adult, though, I'm like, but you know what? At least Rahul had done his MBA when all this happened. Because even if he left with nothing but the clothes on his back, at least he had his education. He was able to like rebuild his life
Exactly.
and make something of it.
Exactly.
So, good for him.
Right. I'm like, well, thank God this happened after his degree because like he's at least able to get a job and do something,
He's probably got like
Um,
networks and all this sort of stuff. Knows people.
Right, because that's the main part of an MBA, like building your network.
And also just from his
Um,
dad, like priming him to take over the Raichand Empire since he was a kid, right?
To kind of maybe bring it back to the class discussion of it all. Um, like I don't know what I was gonna say actually.
I think we have deviated
What was
quite
I
a bit
gonna
from
say?
the class thing. I don't know what you were going
We
to say,
have.
mate. I think that's
Yeah,
fine.
you can read my mind. Um,
Yeah, you
oh,
couldn't say it. What am I supposed to do?
like again, like maybe unrelated, but like a thing that I was thinking about when watching the movie, in Suraj Hua Maddam, like again, beautiful song. They're like shooting in Egypt. Take me back to when they used to do location shots because oh my God, they were so much
Visually
more
stunning.
beautiful, stunning.
Also, can I just say, on that note, the outfits in Suraj Hwamadam, like perfect for
Bangers.
the location. They were not afraid of color.
Bangers.
And if you listen to our previous episode,
Yes.
actually, I don't know if it will come out before this one. This one might be coming out first. But either way, we did another episode. We were talking about the neutralification of Indian clothing. And it's like, yeah, you watch this film and you're just like, yeah, this was truly excellent use of color here.
Yes, because and like what a song, beautiful song, still love it. Um, and like in that in that in that song in the video, um, while they're like kind of picturing life together, what I found really interesting was that they kind of pictured like, for example, Rahul pictures Anjali in his context and vice versa. Like she sees him in her context. Like how and they don't ever like see how it would look like if it's meshed or if it's like completely different. And I think they end up building like a completely different life as maybe a result of just living in London and living away from family and all of that stuff.
But then they come back and they go
But
straight into his world, right?
right. And like, which again is so like stereotypical almost, like it's almost unspoken that like
Yeah.
the wife gets married and then lives with her
But then I think it's
in-laws,
also
right?
because like she doesn't
Standard.
have much of a world left. Like her dad's not there anymore. Her mom has
Exactly.
never been present in the
It's
film.
just Pooja.
And
It's
Appleja's
just
also
Pooja
married into
who's
the family,
left.
so they might as well just be like, yeah, they picture each other in their own like specific context rather than any sort of mesh or gel. But then at the end of Suraj Ramadan, when she like runs back to reality and it's raining, there's that
And she
verse.
says also that like, you know, okay, let the sun be, let the whatever, like this is not gonna happen.
Yeah, there's a verse at the end of the song basically acknowledging that like this is all a daydream and
Yeah.
this isn't gonna happen. And then
Yeah.
which is funny because it's like it focuses on her standing in the rain, having this realization that like, you know, this
This is
is
so unlikely and we live completely different
yeah. And then
worlds
it
and all
cuts
of
to
that
him
stuff.
standing on his balcony in the rain, being like, I love her mom. Like, I really just love this woman.
And he's still like naive about all of this stuff. But I don't know if that's like a class discussion, maybe, but it's also like such a standard thing in Indian society, right? Like where the woman is kind of more forced to adapt to the man's world
Mm,
once they're married, and the man's life and their family and all of that stuff. Um, and the men never adapt to any of that. Like they take longer to adapt to the woman's life or woman's family and like his in-laws
mm.
essentially. Of course, in this movie, Rahul like doesn't have in-laws because her father dies and like there's no one there.
I feel like the closest
But
person to his in-laws is Daijan, but he's known her since he was a kid. So whatever, she
right, so it
adores
doesn't
him.
really count. I think this is also maybe a reflection of that in some sense of like he is still like la-di-da
Head in the
and stuck in
clouds.
this own,
He's literally
yeah,
elevated because he's on the balcony.
film major over here. Um, yeah, whereas she is grounded on the
Mm,
ground, like looking at her family really like and seeing what they're doing, seeing their life, seeing her life and seeing like, oh, this guy is no way is he gonna fit
yeah. She has
in
a
my
couple
life at
moments like
all.
that. Like even before the song, she's like, oh, you don't look like you fit into this area. Yeah, she has this scene.
It's her making fun of the fact that he's not wearing like a sherwani.
Yeah. And then there's like this scene at the end of the song, and then there's the next song where he was like, yeah, I heard you sassing me that day. I didn't take it lightly. Look, I wore these clothes for you.
Also, what a great song. Also, what great outfits. Anyway, Shah Rukh Khan in black, man. Like, he looks really good in that black sherwani. Why were we even talking about that song? Oh, yes,
I was saying
because
that's
like
like this is his attempt to like integrate himself into
adapt.
her world, right? Or like adapt to what she's saying would be like, see, like I will make the
Yeah.
effort. I think that's the thing, is like there is a sense of head in the clouds optimism that he has when he's like, I love her mom, like I just really love this woman. But he does actually follow through. Like he does try in the next, like when he's wearing
He
that black
does. He
sherwani,
does.
he does make,
All credit.
like he's not just saying it, he actually is taking it seriously. He takes her seriously. He
Hmm.
takes what is important to her seriously.
But actually, you reminded me of another piece that happens, which ties a little more to the class discussion, um, where like Yash is, there, Rukhsar is getting married. Rukhsar is Anjali's friend, right? Nandini is kind of like giving different jewelry and clothing items, whatever, to Daijan to give to Rukhsar because Rukhsar is her daughter. And Nandini's like, take all of this stuff, like take whatever you want, pick from like this extremely large selection of items, go crazy, and is being very nice about it.
And
Um,
even though Daijan
and
has raised the boys since they were babies and is like, oh, like they're my babies because I've raised them. So Daijan has a reason to feel like that. But Nandini is still like, your daughter is my daughter. Like
mhm,
don't say anything, just accept the gift.
mhm.
And It's really
And
sweet of her. She has
Yash,
no reason to say that, right? Because she doesn't
and
know her.
Yash,
Yeah.
my biggest enemy. Nandini is again being very sweet and like whatever, very accepting, right?
Mm,
Because like you said, wants to say like this is our you're part of our family
mm.
in essence. And she's like, listen, it's Ruxar's wedding to Yash, like she's saying that, and we should both go, is what she's saying. And Yash is like immediately like, how can we go to a
But
place
people
like
like
that?
us don't go to places like that. He does all but spit on the floor and then grind it with his shoe.
Yeah, and she is trying to be like, look, she literally has lived with us and helped us so much over these years. Like,
So
this
it's
is the
okay to raise your
least we
kids,
can
but like,
do. Right. This is literally the least we can do for her, like, is to just show up, on the most important day for her. And he's just like, again, keh diya na, boss. I'm like, dude, enough with your nonsense. Like, stop shutting down people and not giving them a voice and like not allowing them to voice their opinion. He acts like a colonizer. In summary, which is funny, I think, to say after we recorded for I don't know how long, and I don't know how long this episode's going to turn out to be, but I feel like I've been talking for ages. But in summary, um, Yash Vardhan Raichand is a terrible man and potential self-reflection on why he is the way he is. Which is he going to do? No, because again, it's unrealistic for an old man his age to do that in India specifically. I think that is the summary. That he's a terrible man and he is the main problem. And if he had just had some basic Nandini wouldn't have been separated from her kid and none of this would have happened. But then also we wouldn't have had a 3.5 hour movie. So do with that what you will.